Many Christians really do hold to the idea that humans have souls and animals do not. I find this interesting. Since the signs were arguing about dogs, let's use dogs as our example as well. A dog is equipped with many of the same features that we humans are. He has 2 ears, 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, a brain. He will get angry if you taunt him. He will get excited if you play with him. He will whimper if you're cruel to him. He will get jealous if you give something to another dog and withhold it from him. Humans and dogs are not so different. We both respond to stimuli. We both have nervous systems that enable us to feel pain. We both want food and sex and recreation. The central difference between us, the only difference that seems anything but superficial, is that while a dog's brain is designed to distinguish sense, a human's brain is designed to plan and problem solve. We're not more evolved than them, we're just differently evolved than them. Or if you're a creationist who doesn't believe in evolution, think of it this way. God didn't create us with a better brain than a dog's, just with a different sort of brain suited to an altogether different task. That being the case, what great superiority can human beings claim to dogs? Why, if there is a God, would he favor us with eternal life and cheat the dog? Why create something that can think and feel in the first place if you only intend to utterly destroy it and leave no trace of it? It seems rather arbitrary that humans have souls and dogs don't, when the only difference between us worth mentioning beyond the superficial stuff like dogs have tails and we don't, is that we are more intelligent. Is the soul therefore a byproduct of intellect? Then do babies and people with brain damage and people with learning disabilities lack souls? Perhaps intelligence is the byproduct of the soul. Then why is it that modern neuroscience can provide naturalistic explanations for human intellect? And why does damage to the brain often result in damage to the intellect? Are intellect and soul mutually exclusive? Then for what reason are human beings granted souls that are denied to all other animals? And if dogs do turn out to have souls, then at what level of consciousness does the soul emerge? Do termites have souls? Does grass? Do single-celled organisms? Do viruses? Do inanimate objects such as rocks and dish towels have souls? When did I get my soul exactly? I was created when the genetic matter of my father and my mother combined to form what would eventually become a fetus, then a baby, then a child, then a teenager, then an adult. I am a living thing who emerged from 2 other living things, who emerged themselves from 4 living things, who emerged from 8 living things, and so on. You can keep going back until you get to either the first simple organism billions of years ago in the primordial soup, or until you get back to Adam and Eve 6,000 years ago. Whatever. Either way, all living things came from other living things, except for the original living thing or things. Where in all of this does the soul come into play? Do all sperms and eggs contain little soul seeds that will bloom into a full-fledged soul if they happen to be the sperm and egg that eventually combine and form a human being? Or does God himself personally send the spark of a soul into each fetus in the womb? What about animals that possess hive consciousnesses, bees, ants, sea anemones, and such like? Does this hive consciousness possess a soul all of its own, or does each component possess its own soul? And what about us? Aren't human beings made of trillions of individual cells? Does each cell have its own soul? Wouldn't it suck to die and realize that your consciousness isn't going to heaven, and instead each of your trillions of cells are going to heaven individually? And what about our various stages in life? What if a man is a Christian all of his life but converts to Islam at 45 and dies at 46? Assuming that Christianity is correct, he will face hell for rejecting Christ. So wait, if the soul is part of the intellect, then did his soul change its mind? If so, then we have to admit that soul and intellect are connected, and that means that chances are good that babies and severely brain-damaged people and severely mentally disabled people have no souls, or at least have no mechanism with which to make the decisions that will decide the fate of their souls. Alternatively, if the soul is separate from the intellect, then why would the soul be punished for what the intellect does? If my intellect decides to kill 37 people with a stapler, then why should my soul go to hell for that? Another thing, if God decides when we die, then why does he kill a man at 46 as a Muslim instead of killing him at 45 when he's still a Christian? If God doesn't decide, and it's all a matter of free will and happenstance, then what is the point of this supposed test that we've been given? It's not a test, it's mostly luck, it's a crapshoot. If a Christian happens to die just as he was having a moment of doubt about Jesus, would he go to hell? That's so random. One minute he's fit for heaven, the next he's not. How does that make any sense? An atheist is a day away from converting to Christianity when he's suddenly attacked by wild dogs and ripped to shreds. He goes to hell because the arbitrary date of his death was one day too early. Nothing about the idea that we have souls makes any sense. They're either completely inexplicable, completely cruel, or completely arbitrary. So instead of muddling through all this indecipherable muck about souls, do this instead. Ask yourself if there is any such thing as a soul to begin with. You've never seen it, you don't know where you got it, don't know what it does or what it's for. Its eternal fate rests on your decisions. But all modern neuroscience shows that your decisions emanate from your brain, from your neural network, not from some mysterious force that resides nebulously within the confines of your being. So, if you ask me, there is no soul. We are all soulless bags of meat, wandering around the earth trying to justify our supposition of supremacy to the dogs and the rocks. Maybe we should humble ourselves before all of nature and just admit that we are not better. We don't have some invisible, immortal ghost in our machine that sets us apart from this world. We're just another cog in the big contraption called nature, and we're not even an important cog. The contraption would run just fine without us and our conceited notions of immortality.